Hi, this is Representative Jefferson Moss. We're now on week 4, so we're over the halfway point in the session, which is pretty exciting. It's still moving very fast and furious. We are getting into some more substantive issues. So this last week we've had some pretty strong debate on a number of issues, and we'll continue to see that right up to the end of the session. Wanted to give you an update on a couple of the bills that I'm working on. I presented 2 bills this week in our Senate Education Committee. One that was relating to compulsory education. I've spoken to you about this before, but that received the full support of the Senate committee, and now that's moving on to the floor of the Senate. The other is the public education reference check bill. That also received the full support of the committee. So I'm excited. Got a number of things that are moving forward. I'm going to be presenting 2 bills on the floor coming up, the State Money Management Act bill and the SITFO bill relating to the distribution of the SITFO money, that's the School Institutional Trust Fund money, out to our school community councils. So 2 exciting bills that I'm working on. I also passed a Senate bill that I was the floor sponsor on relating to labor code amendments. This is dealing with small business owners. Sometimes will get a fine for not having workers' compensation fund insurance. And this bill basically says more like a fix-it ticket. Look, if you get it taken care of and there's no claims, we're not going to charge you the fine. And sometimes businesses maybe just miss, this is an oversight. If there are any claims, obviously that would be a different story, but these are businesses that aren't doing anything but miss that payment, and so this gives them a chance to be able to pay that back and get up to date without having to pay that fine. One bill, surprising bill, that became a hot button issue this last week was the Martha Hughes Cannon statue, replacing the Philo Farnsworth statue in the U.S. Capitol. And I remember when this bill first came up last year, Adam Gardner, who was a good friend of mine and sat next to me on the floor, brought it to me, and I thought, that just seems like one of those pointless message bills. And I gave him a little bit of a hard time about it. But as I learned more about this amazing woman, the more I realized that this had more merit to it, and ultimately I became a big supporter of it. Now, I'm a big Philo Farnsworth fan. I love tech. I've worked in tech for a lot of my career, and so I thought, why would we want to take him out when he's done such, he helped to lay the groundwork for this great tech environment that we have. But when I looked more at Martha Hughes Cannon and her influence on the state of Utah and on the country, I thought, this is probably a worthwhile discussion to have. For those that don't know Martha Cannon, she was actually the first state senator in the country, female state senator, and really was kind of one of the forerunners of women being involved in politics. Ironically, she ran against her husband and beat him, which I think is kind of a cool story. This is a woman who had 2 medical degrees and was just a spitfire. And so I think that sends a pretty good message. I love Philo. My recommendation to Adam when he talked about this, why don't we bring Philo back to, we've got this awesome tech community here in Utah. Let's bring him back and, give him the honor that he should have. And when we have people from all over the country that come to Utah and are seeing these great tech companies, to be able to look at Philo Farnsworth and say, he was one of the pioneers in this industry. So anyway, that bill got a lot of momentum. I appreciate all the emails and phone calls on this. Surprisingly, I probably got more on this issue than almost any issue this session. But ultimately, I think we made the right decision in looking at replacing her. Now, obviously, no taxpayer money is going to be used for this. This is going to be all privately supported. But I'm looking forward to sending that message. Besides that, we're still working on public education funding. We've had some great discussions. We did approve the final, in terms of the Sub-Appropriations Committee, what our priorities are. Now that goes to executive appropriations. Well, there'll be a lot more discussion. But ultimately, I think we're going to really do a strong push this year to continue to fund education. And then we're still looking at ways within our own budgets and saying, are there things that we could do more efficiently? Do we really need to spend this money in these ways that we currently have? And we're looking at maybe reappropriating some of those funds into areas that we think are maybe more critical uses of those funds. So a lot going on right now. Again, thank you for all those that have reached out to me. Thank you for calls, emails. Please continue to reach out to me, and thank you for another great week here in the legislative session.